What's going on, guys? So today I just wanted to do a little demo on these Spartan Fire Tinder sheets, I guess, made in the USA, which is always kind of a bonus, of course, if you live in the USA. So let's see what it says here. All right, everyday foldable, waterproof tinder and blade care. All right, reusable, multiple fires per tinder, special wax protects knife blades, which I'm going to get to in a second with the knife care thing. It's just kind of like a bonus, I guess. No odors, oils, and non-toxic, never expires. 12 fires per pack. I think there's 6 sheets in here, so they're suggesting you cut them in half for each use. 100% waterproof and wind resistance. Keep them in your wallet or purse. Great for bug out bags and survival kits, emergency repair patch, which I guess you could do with any kind of impregnated material. But it's nice thought in case you didn't think of that. It's not just for starting fires. You can use it for other stuff. Trusted by NATO and adventurers worldwide. So anyway, yeah, value 6-pack. We're gonna go ahead and jump into this. This is my Bark River Knife and Tool Canadian. I've had this knife for many years now. One of the go-to bushcrafty style knives that I like. And I also have that Exotac, all right, which we got in the same battle box as these sheets. Now, one thing I took the cord off because obviously I'm using it in the sheath here, a little holder. But that cord that comes with this is actually fire cord. All right, so if you haven't seen it before, there's strands inside there that can catch a spark pretty easily. So it's a nice little bonus just in case you didn't know that. Take our little striker off there, which is rolling around. Get our ferro rod ready to go. Make sure that's nice and tight and snug. All right, we're going to zip into this pack here. Grab one of these sheets. So, what they're basically saying as far as knife care is this is like a fine mesh, I'm assuming cotton, doesn't actually say, and it's just kind of wax impregnated. You know, if you crease it, you could see the wax that just kind of comes up a little bit. What they're saying is that you could take your knife, let's see if I put it against the sheath here, all right, and I can rub the side of the blade on here to basically put a wax coating on the actual side of the blade. Okay, so obviously in prolonged exposure to the different types of weather conditions and so forth, it's going to just seal it in, so it's not going to create some surface rust or start deteriorating your blade. If nothing else, not just your full blade but your actual edge. If you're coming in here and you're almost like you're stropping this, right, you're stropping it basically with wax, you're going to coat that very edge. I could feel it on here. I could feel that wax. All right, so your very edge will not start to rust. The benefit to that, if you don't know, if you've never had any knife, that was exposed to bad weather, a lot of moisture, humidity, and water, things like that, your edge will rust out first. Okay, so when you have surface rust that you can visually see on the blade, your very edge also rusts out. Okay, obviously being the thinnest part of that blade, so you can actually get a dull blade as it starts to rust. All right, so that's just the first thing they're kind of pitching as kind of a bonus. All right, but obviously we want to see how it works as a fire starter. That's the real reason why you probably got it. So let me go ahead and cut this in half. All right, because this is supposed to be sufficient, and I think for its size it probably is. All right, I'm gonna rough this up a little bit. Let's use the back of the blade here. Just kind of remove some of the wax to expose. The idea obviously is when it gets wet, the actual material inside is not going to actually saturate with any kind of moisture or anything like that, so you can scrape some of that wax off and get it to light even when it is actually wet. But you can see that the actual wax that was removed just by scraping it, so there's quite a bit of wax on there. Again, whether it's for protecting your blade or for just keeping this waterproof, it does function as such. I'm actually going to come in here and just make some cuts so I have some more edges that are going to be exposed, and rough it up a little bit to see how this is going to catch a spark. All right, so just kind of move it around a little bit. Now obviously this one's still dry out of the package, so it shouldn't be a huge deal or very hard to get this lit. There's the first test. All right, you want to make sure you scrape off some of this coating on the ferro rod. try this way. There we go. Get some of that, all that coating's off now, so it's actually digging into the ferrocerium. And you see the, I don't know if you could tell, but there's little filings in there as well. So once those catch, it's going to get quite hot quite quickly, which should ignite. Oh, maybe not. Now, something definitely worth mentioning here is that with these Exotacs, because this is removable, all right, if you haven't seen the first video, these do screw in so you can replace them as they wear down. They will get loose, all right? I wouldn't recommend Loctiting or anything, but you know, as you're using it, if it backs out a little, just give it a little twist to make sure it's nice and tight again. All right, so I'm not going to conserve this anymore. I'm just going to do the old back and forth method, because I'm sure going to light that up fairly easily, maybe. There we go, finally. All right, so once this is lit, I'm mostly curious when I get different fire starting products, how long they actually burn, because that's also very important, because this is a waxed material here. It should have a decent time as far as the burn time goes, all right, so that you have enough time to actually get your fire started. Getting something to light, you know, for 10 seconds is not always that helpful, but if it can stay lit like this for at least a minute, I think that's ample time to actually get a fire going. All right, obviously as you move that around a little bit too, get some fresh cloth exposed. All right, so I mean, we have about 1 minute to 2 minutes of burn time on that, which is a reasonable amount of time to get a fire started. The other half I'm going to try just folding it. All right, I'm just folding it in half and kind of pinching it to make it almost like a ball. I just want to see if it's necessary to actually to slice it up and try to get that wax off. All right, if it was wet, you would certainly have to do so. So if you saturate this and then you want to, you know, you pat it dry first, but if it won't light from spark because the outside's wet, that's when you would remove that wax layer. All right, that's really why it's there. I mean, there's a lot of sparks going on this. There we go, finally. So I have to say, it does take a little bit more than some other methods to get it going. You know, once it's going, I do think it's burning long enough to make a fire relatively easily. But you know, you would actually want a decent ferrocerium rod, or maybe a magnesium rod or something like that, a magnesium block, to get those really hot sparks to land on there. If you're trying to use something natural to create a spark, like if you're using flint and steel or something, I imagine it would be a lot harder to get this thing going. But you know, if you're actually a prepared person, you'd probably just like this with a lighter. All right, so I have one more piece I just kind of bunched up here. I'm scraping a bunch of these shavings first, so then I get this to actually spark. Hopefully it lights the rest of them. And it happened over there, not on the material. Okay, here we go. That should be plenty to get it lit. It's actually a struggle. And these are fresh out of the pack. These aren't even wet. But in the defense of the actual sheet, it does say to rough them up. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to rough this up again. All right, with our knife to expose some of the material. Let's try that without the wax on there. It should be significantly easier. I don't know, some of these are burning pretty hot in there. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. Most materials would probably ignite at this point, so maybe not my favorite fire starting option. Yeah, I mean, you can see how much is actually, there we go, finally on fire. So I would say this, I would say that if you had a lighter or of an actual source of fire, because remember, this is not really a fire starting device, this is just some kind of a tinder. These are probably awesome if they do actually get wet and you need to rely on them. You can remove that wax. But I mean, there's other things that light up a lot easier. These just might be better for storing, for maybe longevity. You know, I would use this as a backup. This wouldn't be my obviously go-to way to make fire. But if I am using a lighter, it's not an issue at all. It's just, you know, using sparks from a ferrocerium rod like this, it just obviously seems to be a little bit more difficult. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The Spartan fire tinder. Just kind of curious about that, and finally got a chance to try it here. Not terrible, but certainly not my my favorite method. So you guys let me know if you have experience with this, if it's been different than mine. But I did this completely dry. I didn't even get this wet, so it would only make it a little bit more difficult. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. And let me know down in the comment section, what's your favorite way to make fire? I think fun primitive ways are fun, but they're not the not the easiest by any means. So I do love using a just a simple lighter and the petroleum jelly cotton balls. Those are just, they work great. They also stay pretty dry because of the petroleum jelly. So even if they do get wet, you can break them open and expose those cotton fibers. They catch even the lightest of sparks, which you can make naturally if you needed to, and boom, fire. So that's definitely my preferred method. But anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.